Hello, my friends and fellow VEDSies. It is day 21. Did you remember that it's the 21st night of September? I just want to apologize in advance for the vibes of this video. I am not feeling myself right now. But I really wanted to make this video in particular today. I didn't want to half-ass it completely. So I'm gonna do my best. I've got my pumpkin pie chai. I've got the air conditioner going again for some reason, even though we really don't need it. And yeah, I just really want to make this video today. The reason why I'm so invested in making this video this day is because Alicia challenged us to swap characters into different stories. And I thought that that was a really fun challenge. And I had a really good time trying to come up with different combinations of characters and franchises and different things that could be interesting. I think I ended up with like 13 at one point. I wouldn't say that I came up with 13 good ideas, but I came up with 13 ideas. But that would have been way too much, so I narrowed it down to the 5 that I thought were the most interesting and had the most potential and that other people might understand, because I didn't think anyone would appreciate the cyber chase one. I also decided that I would present them to you in order of what I perceive to be the most normal and logical, to get crazier and crazier as we get through. Because what's the phrase? Are the frogs in the pot? Or if the frog... I thought, who's boiling frogs? Is it crabs in the pot? Or are the crabs in the bucket trying to get out and... I don't know. It's been a day. What I do know are the ideas that I came up with. First off, putting Percy Jackson from the Percy Jackson series in the role of Harry Potter from the Harry Potter series. I'm starting with this one because I feel like it makes sense to a certain extent. They're the protagonists of book series that came out at a similar time. There's a very similar brain space that they occupy. They do have some similarities because, you know, children's book, fantasy, hero boy who follows the hero's journey. There's only so many deviations you can really make while staying true to that. But the destination isn't what I find interesting about this one. It's the journey to get there. Because really think about Percy in the Harry Potter universe. Percy, with his sword and his New York attitude and his impulsiveness and his way of describing things, and put him in British boarding school Hogwarts. Imagine how Percy would describe the way that things go on at Hogwarts. Imagine Percy playing Quidditch. Imagine what Percy would say to Umbridge or the Dursleys or Voldemort. It just cracks me up because, well, obviously Harry is a sassy character. Just Percy's snark is so good, and his attitude towards everything would be so fucking funny. I like it anyways. Next, I have to swap Peggy Carter from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into the role of Catherine Janeway from Star Trek Voyager. I had a lot of Voyager-based concepts, and a lot of them were based around Janeway. She's just a really cool, badass lady who doesn't have to sacrifice all of her femininity to be badass. And I love her. And I find a lot of those things I love about Janeway also apply to Peggy Carter. You know, there's so much against her, mostly due to the time period that she is living in, but she's still able to be that badass hero and be true to herself. So then I realized that the ultimate fantasy would be to have Peggy Carter in a time period where those limitations did not exist, and she could be that cool and that badass, and all of the energy that she usually has to expend just to get people to take her seriously could instead be focused on doing more badass shit. Also, I just think that it would be interesting seeing her have to face some of those moral dilemmas. And I also think Haley Atwell would look really nice in a Starfleet uniform. This might just be me, but you know, this is my opinion, so I can't be wrong. Next, I have swapping Yasha from Critical Role Campaign 2 into the role of Wanda Maximoff, specifically WandaVision Wanda. Okay, I feel like this one isn't nearly as wild as it sounds when you actually think about the thematic elements behind these two characters. Because, like, the entire point of WandaVision is about grief and denial and acceptance that those that you love have been lost, but that doesn't make the love not worthwhile, and all of those wonderful things. What is grief if not love persevering? And a lot of those things apply to Yasha as well. She has lost so much in her life and has been traumatized in so many ways and has been forced to do other people's bidding and been tricked and coerced and controlled by others. And she's lost so much. But ultimately what she wants isn't big, grand, epic heroism. It's just a quiet life at home, fixing those problems, and she finds happiness in being a housewife. I think that if Yasha existed in a modern setting, she would gravitate towards sitcoms the same way that Wanda does, because of the comfort and familiarity that it brings. And I think for most of Campaign 2, she would have been tempted by a situation like this to live out a fantasy with Zuala. Also, I realized that I could have Lucian as Ralph Boner, and that was correct on so many levels. Next is to swap Lena Lamont from Singing in the Rain with Dolores Umbridge from the Harry Potter books. This works both ways, I feel like. These are two very different people with very different goals in mind, but at the same time, they are just these cutthroat women who are going to use all of the power and influence that they have to just make your life miserable if you get in their way, and they will do it with a smile while wearing pink. And I love that. I love both of these characters. The contract scene from Singing in the Rain with the legal jargon is something I can totally see Dolores Umbridge doing. And the concept of Severus Snape trying to teach a class while Lena Lamont asks him increasingly idiotic questions is just... I just think that this is very funny, and there's a lot of potential. And if someone who's better at doing voices than I am wants to try to do any of one's lines as the other, I will love you forever. And last but certainly not least, the Sky High Be More Chill AU. Listen, I said that this is my opinion, so I can't be wrong, and I stand by the fact that I am not wrong in this. I am correct. I got flack for this from some of my friends because I was writing this script in sound design. Sorry, Dave. And my friend Reed caught me and had things to say about this. I don't care. I don't care. I'm correct. Tonally, it makes sense to me. There are these quirky high school stories that take elements from popular nerd genres and use them in a typical coming-of-age high school rom-com setting. They're quirky, they're fun, they're not quite DComs, but the same tone as a DCom. It makes sense to me. Will Stronghold is obviously Jeremy. Layla works pretty well as like a Michael-Christine fusion character. Gwen is a technopath, so she can just totally make the squib a thing. and then play sort of the mean girl Chloe Brooke type of role, and the cheerleader girl can help with that. Warren serves as sort of a fusion of Rich and Jake because gets together with Christine for a bit, but also who else is gonna sing the Squip song here? Coach Boomer should be the drama teacher, because being the gym teacher at a high school for superheroes is probably the equivalent of being a drama teacher in New Jersey. Kurt Russell gets to sing the Pants song, and Ron Wilson, bus driver, is there because of fucking course he is. He is Ron Wilson, bus driver. So yeah, these are the ideas I came up with. Are they good? Wouldn't go that far, but are they fun? Yes. And really, isn't that what's important? All right, my friends and fellow VEDSies, I'll see you tomorrow.